Hi, my name is Ella Epstein. As an instructional designer and educational technologist, I have been through many technology evaluation and selection projects. In this video, I will offer some tips on how to simplify the preliminary needs assessment when choosing technology for professional and continuing education. I will also outline some important criteria to consider when putting together the technology ecosystem. Professional and continuing education, also called extended education or extended learning, refers to any professional development courses or workshops beyond the traditional university settings. These offerings are often meant to accommodate the rapidly changing needs of today's workforce. These courses and workshops can be in a variety of formats, such as face-to-face, online, or hybrid. They can be offered as months-long cohorts or as short programs during conferences or events. In some cases, participants can earn micro-credentials, such as badges. Sometimes the work can even be stacked towards more formal certificates or diplomas. We are seeing tremendous growth in this area. More and more higher education groups, schools, colleges, departments, and others are offering some kind of professional and continuing education. One very common question asked by these groups when faced with the task of setting up such programs is, what learning management system or LMS should we use? There are hundreds, if not thousands, of products that offer some type of learning management functionality, and new products are entering the market all the time. The process to select one can seem overwhelming. And since a learning management system is only one component of the technology ecosystem needed to support professional and continuing education, this makes the task of selecting technology even more complicated. The truth is, there is no such thing as a perfect LMS. There are systems that have an excellent track record in terms of quality, stability, and user experience, and then there are those that do not. There are also some systems that are a good fit for our unique needs, and those that just do not have the desired functionality. So let's look at a very simple framework that I use when advising clients on technology for their new programs. This framework begins with 4 questions. What do we need? What do we want? What do we have? And what can we afford? I put what can we afford at the end because I want to see what the ideal scenario looks like. However, in reality, the budget is often one of the most important considerations, if not the most important factor in how we move forward. So let's start with the very first question. What do we need? At this point, we're not talking about technology just yet. What I want my clients to do here is to visualize or outline the learner life cycle. A learner life cycle refers to the conceptual framework that follows the journey of a learner from before admission to post-graduation. For example, for professional and continuing education, it will look something like this. We market the program and bring prospective learners to our website, where they can get more information about our offerings, register, pay, and enroll in courses and workshops. They are then provided with access to the learning management system, where they can find all of the course-related information, materials, assignments, and assessments. They can also engage with the facilitators or peers if the course format allows it. Once the course is complete, the learners are issued badges or certificates. We also want to continue to engage these learners post-graduation. We hope that they will return to take more courses and programs and that they will share information about our offerings with their peers. Once the learner life cycle is visualized, we want to ask more questions. At the very least, we want to know, how do students find out about the offerings? How do they request information? How do they register for courses and workshops? What does the enrollment process look like? What does learning look like? For example, will the offerings be face-to-face, online, or hybrid? If we're talking about courses that are fully online, will they be self-paced or facilitated? How do we assess whether the learning outcomes have been met? What does course completion look like? Once the student completes the course, how do we issue their credentials? Is it in the form of a printed certificate or an open and shareable badge? How do we remarket and ensure that students come back? If we stack our offerings towards a larger credential, how do we keep track of student progress? Asking these questions allows us to create a rough first draft of the technology ecosystem and as complete a list of features as possible. In this step, I encourage my clients to dream and reach for the stars. Any functionality you want, just put it on the list. This is not going to look the same for every program. For example, if the courses and workshops are only offered in a face-to-face format during conferences and special events, then the technology ecosystem is likely to be very different from that of a semester-long cohort program. What do we want? It is important to remember that we may not be able to find a perfect match for everything we need. So in this step, I ask to take our list of features and to prioritize the most important functionality. Separate the list into must-haves and wants. This will especially help when we talk about what we can afford, since having a list of must-haves will also help narrow down the search. What do we have? So, we have our preliminary draft of the technology ecosystem and our list of must-haves and nice-to-have features for each component of the learning lifecycle. In this step, we want to see what technology we already have, what is available to us, and what we will need to procure. Wherever possible, my recommendation is to use what is already available through the institution. On the one hand, this may save our clients a lot of money, and I mean a lot. Moreover, there are other benefits to using existing institutional systems. The technology has already gone through the procurement process. It has been vetted, approved, and is ready to go. It may also be supported by institutional IT services, which is significantly helpful. On the other hand, mainstream university platforms and services are often a poor fit for professional and continuing education, or not available outside of the traditional for-credit education format. Even so, we should take inventory first before dismissing the existing systems. Since learning management systems are more complex than the other components of our future ecosystem, we start the process by looking at this particular component. If you teach or work in higher education or have recently taken a college course online, then chances are you are already familiar with learning management systems like Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, or Brightspace. And if you have ever participated in employee training, you have probably seen self-paced e-learning modules on one of many popular corporate learning management systems, such as Litmos, Docebo, Talent LMS, and countless others. Higher education LMS are very different from those used to deliver employee training. A side-by-side comparison of the systems would be a much longer conversation. The most important difference to mention here is that higher education systems have a lot more options for assessments and feedback. Employee training, on the other hand, is usually self-paced. Therefore, learning management systems designed for employee training and compliance tracking often will not have a teacher role to begin with. So, if your offerings are similar to for-credit courses, you will want to use an LMS that allows for assessment and feedback. If, however, you will only offer self-paced training, then a corporate-style system may be a better fit. Although we may start with evaluating LMS options first, we always want to keep our entire technology ecosystem in mind. Especially when starting with the existing technology, we want to make sure that all of the components of our learner lifecycle will work with each other. Last but not least, what can we afford? More often than not, it can be hard to get a definite answer from the client as to what the budget is. Something along the lines of as low as possible is a common response. What's important to remember is that even if we can implement a technology ecosystem that is very low cost, we may still pay for the development, maintenance, and support. So there may still be a cost, only in a different way. That's why what can we afford is not a simple question. Yes, we need to consider the direct costs, such as licensing fees. But we also need to consider all other costs associated with the development, maintenance, administration, and support, which may actually be higher with a low-cost system. There are many options for technology to support professional and continuing education, and the process of launching a program doesn't have to be as complicated as it seems. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps.